trust is allowing you the ability to step into their world, right? And they're stepping into an environment which is kind of our turf. So they come to our office, they sit in across from us at a desk, we close the door, and one of the analogies I always use is, do you go to the grocery store and push a grocery cart around that's empty and then walk out without groceries? One of the ways to gain permission is just someone's attendance, right? Or someone showing up or someone being there, right? Permission can be that simple, right? Trust can be that simple. So, that foundation of trust is just having the conversation and getting into a genuine conversation about what someone's goals are and why they're important to them.
What up, Masters? Welcome to another episode of Path to Mastery. Today we are with Matt Teter, and Matt is a MAPS coach. He also was a team leader for 4 years, and he recruited or brought into the company. I like to say attracted, I guess, more than recruited, but ultimately he brought in almost 700 people, 694 people between 2013 and 2017. So just killed the role. The guy's really, really sharp, and it's a great conversation about connecting with people as part of it. Another part of it's being able to go deep, being able to ask those tough questions, those questions that are really going to help people move, because and I don't say move like move companies. What I'm talking about is moving, like taking action. So whether you're working with, somebody that that there's more potential and there's opportunity, or you're just working with a seller or a buyer for that matter, who should be taking action, but yet they're not taking action. So how do you get deep into their motivations and their goals and their wants and needs so that you can help them take the actions that are going to help them ultimately achieve their goals? It's a great conversation. He talks about the model, a couple of the models we use for helping people with coaching, as well as a model from Patrick Lencioni, who wrote the book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And by the way, if you want a copy of that on Audible for free, just go. I think you probably already know this by now, but you can go to davidsfreebook.com. Again, davidsfreebook.com, and you get yourself a copy of The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni, and you'll understand even at a deeper level what Matt and I were talking about today. So it's just a great conversation. I really hope you enjoy it. And listen, guys, please share the podcast. We're growing exponentially, which is fantastic. I guess that's what's supposed to happen after 2 years. But I'd love to get your feedback if you think there's something we could do better. I'd also love if you have any guest recommendations. Feel free to shoot me an email, david@davidihill.com. If you have any feedback, recommendations, a guest you want me to go after, or get on the show, I'd love to hear from you. Also, John Acuff is coming up soon, guys. I'm sure you know who John is. He wrote the book Finish, as well as a lot of other books, which is an amazing book. So just a lot of really good things in the pipeline for you guys. I just want to say I really, really appreciate you and appreciate you spending time listening to the show, and I hope you really enjoy Matt Teter. Hey, Masters, welcome to another episode of Path to Mastery, and today I am with Matt Teter. Matt, hey, what's going on, man?
I'm doing well, David. How are you?
Good. I forgot to ask, you want me to call you Matt, Matthew? What works best for you?
Anything's good. Matty, I'm not a huge fan of. However, I can tolerate it. Yeah, everything's good.
All right. I wasn't going to say Matty, so we're good with that. All right. Cool. Well, hey, listen, thanks for spending some time with us. I heard you. I met you actually a couple times, but we talked for a couple minutes out in Washington recently, and then I coincidentally heard you on my coach shared an audio with me that you were role playing with, what was it, Brian?
Yeah, with my MAPS coach, with Brian Martin. Yep.
Brian, that was awesome. And you guys were doing a needs analysis, and you were kind of going through that whole process, which I thought was fantastic. I've listened. I'm not exaggerating. Like, I'm obsessive compulsive, so I probably listened to it 20 times now on my rides back to and from the office. It's just amazing. But a little bit about you. You still have a real estate team with your wife, correct?
Yes, yep.
You are a new father, recent father?
No. So that's funny. In the role play, that was really the role play part of it. So
got it. Okay.
That's okay. That's down the road there.
Good for you.
We're a cat father, so we have two cats.
Good. Okay, love it. Cat dad. Hey, I started with 2 dogs.
So then it grows from there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, before you know it, you're going to have 2 cats and then kids running around. So it's awesome.
That's
and
right.
then, so you've been 2013 to 2017, you were a team leader in New Jersey who brought in almost 700 agents, right? In that 4-year period, 694 agents. So you have to talk to us about that. And right now you're a MAPS coach, man.
Yeah. So it's, you're exposed to the same, opportunities within Keller Williams that I am. And, the vertical growth and horizontal growth that's available in this company is just incredible. And, it really, really humbled and just grateful. I have not even been in the real estate industry for 5 years yet. So I'm coming up on my 5-year anniversary in real estate, and the opportunities presented by the company are incredible. So, yeah, it's really cool.
Then talk to us. You haven't been in a business, you said 5 years yet, but yet you had that kind of success attracting people, and now you're a MAPS coach who trains or coaches, I should say, the team leaders and operating principals in our company. How do you do that in 5 years?
What's so great about my background is I passed the bar in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, and then I put it away when I was done with it, so to speak. And yet what law school taught me and the preparation for the bar is, one, it taught you how to read really quickly, right? So consume a lot of information and disseminate that information in a way where it was practical, it was logical, and you can make a simple, at that point, it was a simple argument, right? Or take a position. And yet it's similar to what we do in business, right? If we're moving at a high rate of speed. And so what was so great about law school too is that it taught me that models and systems are the way to be able to build a big business. And when I was in law school as the vice president of a clothing company, had earned the right to step into that role. And one of my mentors started talking to me about additional opportunities in my life. And what we came down to insurance and real estate, because we're looking for, at that point, opportunity that would allow me to go vertical and horizontal, right? So continue to grow up vertically in my opportunities and the impact that I can make on people in the world. And then also grow passive income and increase income streams and grow wealth for our family. And so when I found out that in real estate, you can own an insurance company, I really pivoted to looking at real estate. So looking at insurance and real estate. My mentor introduced me to John Clyde, who's now the regional director of the greater Pennsylvania region within Keller Williams. And at the time, John had just came over from another major brand and launched a Keller Williams franchise in southern New Jersey, Washington Township and Gloucester County. He was interviewing for team leader. So it's the, outside of our company, that's the manager of the, right. It's the manager of the brokerage. And, I stepped into that world, and what really attracted me.
I'm going to stop you though 1 second. Before we even go further, let's talk about the difference though, because we just kind of made a comparison to say it's kind of like the manager, but it's actually not. It's quite different.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good point. So one of the primary differences, I guess what I was, moving towards was that the team leader has really a few primary responsibilities. It's growing the market center through attracting and getting into business with talented agents, with producing agents. And then when they get into business with us, growing their business and consulting them to grow their business from there. And then overseeing the rest of the operations within the entire brokerage. So we have a model system, within our organization that allows us to focus on that. And it is a primary focus to grow. And part of the reason why is because, National Association of Realtors tells us that 30% of the business leaves every year. The turnover in real estate is pretty high. There's statistics out there that say that, within 24 months, as many as 80% of people that start in the business will leave. And, that's not on Bravo or HGTV, right? So those parts of the business are not out there and broadcasted. And part of the reason why could be things like the E-myth, what Michael Gerber talks about, and the fact that a lot of us think that we're entrepreneurs and, or we think we're wired that way, and when we get into it, maybe we're really not. And yet, how do you become more successful? Well, Keller Williams has developed a model and a system for that. And, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, it's available for $21. It's been out for 13 years. It's sold over 1 million copies. And the model for running a successful real estate business is in that book, right? It's not a secret. It's on shelves. You can get it today, right? You can order it online. You can listen to it on ebook, right? And running the brokerage is just an extended version of that model. So what's the difference? I think the difference is we have a model. I think the other difference is that we have layers of accountability built into our world in that role. So for myself, I had accountability partners. I had a mastermind group. And for the last 5 years, I've had at least one MAPS coach, if not two. For a period of time, for 2.5 years, I had two. I think those are the differences. It's a model, it's a system, it's layers of accountability built into that world. And then finally, it's the horizontal and vertical opportunity that's in that role. If you look at the executives across Keller Williams International, they've all been in the team leader role. So what's so amazing is that at the local market center level, the brokerage level, take on that opportunity. And they say that the politics of our company are productivity, right? If you nail it in that role, if you nail it in that opportunity, you're able to grow vertically very quickly. And that's something that I was very privileged to do. And really what's so amazing about that too, and just momentarily putting humility in my pocket, that it's in this company, if you do your job, they put you on stage at the largest real estate conference in the world at Family Reunion and at Spring Masterminds where you and I just met. And this year was at DC, and at Mega Camp, which is always in Austin, and the largest conferences in the world where top agents and top leaders are sharing their models, systems, and strategies. And just by doing the job, you get a platform, to be able to share what you've done and give value and give back and help other leaders grow. And really, it's a lot of gratitude. Just every time I reflect on it, what's inside the company and the opportunities that are there. It's part of the reason why we're on that list of, happiest place to work, right? Yeah, and you just kind of tie it all together, the culture of the company, the opportunity that's available, the ability to make an impact in the world. And, what we just got off of, you and I 2 days ago, Red Day, 164,000 agents within Keller Williams in the United States took the day off and gave back to the local community. So you kind of see it at every level. And I think it's a can of worms, so to speak, right? It's jumping in Alice in Wonderland's in the rabbit hole when you say, what's different, right? Because for a moment, getting a chance to speak about like what's different, well, the differences are so exponential and they grow over time and they layer on top of each other.
It's interesting because when I talk to people now, and I have the opportunity of being a team leader as well now, and it's been amazing. And I hear people say the Kool-Aid and make remarks like that, or pyramid scheme. Like somebody said, "Oh no, you guys are pyramid scheme." I said, "Did you know pyramid schemes are illegal?" Yeah. And she's like, well, so we're clearly not that. You know what I mean? But people just don't get it because they're kind of used to well, this is the way. Like, here's a perfect example. I was honestly got off the phone earlier this morning with somebody who he's been in the business 5 years. Younger guy, sharp kid, he's doing 3.5 million, which is fine, I guess, if that's what you want to do, right?
Yeah.
We have an agent in our office, Tyler, and Tyler has been in the business. His second year, he did 9 million. So I'm having this conversation with the kid, and he's telling, and I'm saying, dude, there's so much more potential. Where do you want to go with your business? What's the next level for you? He's like, well, I'm going to grow it, but you guys' splits are too high. And I'm like, that's not really the conversation that we should be. I mean, they just don't get it, right? And so how do you break through to these people? Like, I'm assuming this is what makes you really good at what you did and how you were able to recruit so many people to the office.
So I guess everything that I just said and talking about opportunities and sharing that, none of that would be what we would discuss, right? We're talking about someone's opportunity. My dad been in sales for 35 years and he's really the rock and the platform for, I think, a lot of my leadership success early on. And he always taught me since I was a little kid, he said, sell for their reasons, not your own. Right. And I think that's the simplest way to put it. And, selling and telling or presenting is not a great way to build a relationship with someone. And it's not a great way to break through. To put it in kind of a model or speaking about it in a more general way, Patrick Lencioni talks about the 5 dysfunctions of a team. They kind of build, right? And so they build it. It's trust on the bottom and it's the foundation. He draws it as a triangle going up, right? And so it's trust on the bottom, and then it's conflict, and then it's commitment, and then it's accountability, and then it's results. And what's interesting about that is you can look at that as dysfunctional teams lack those things, right? They don't have trust. They have poor conflict. They lack a common commitment to a common vision or set of goals. They're not held accountable they're adverse to accountability, or the word I like to use, especially with this year's season. It's pretty crazy. They're allergic to accountability, right? And they don't produce results. Functional teams are the opposite. And what's interesting is, they have trust, they have healthy conflict, they're committed to a common set of goals. They embrace accountability and layer accountability, right? And they produce results. Well, Diana Kokoska, who is the CEO of MAPS Coaching and just the author of Bold and a dynamic, one of the most incredible human beings and just a dynamic professional and leader. What she created in Bold is this really kind of simple concept and that allows people to be able to move through, what we call positive present to negative future to positive future. And, Diana created that concept and that platform of unlocking for people, what's really important for them. Put in a different way, it was kind of shared. Gary Keller's recruiting presentation from 1984, 1986 was shared with me. And again, I'm not 100% certain this is what he did or, how he did it. And yet it was just 4 questions, right? And this really helped me, which was, what are your goals? Why are they important? Where are you now? And what's the gap in your business that'll cause you to go from, where you are now to what you're looking to achieve? That's a really simple way of describing what the conversation sounds like. When somebody in the business is 5 years in doing $3.5 million, they're in their own world, right? I feel like I'm speaking in, just like all the language of leadership, right? It's just like in you and in our organization. And yet, okay, so we're the sum total of the 5 people we spend our most time with. So if the people in your world are in the mindset of a traditional brokerage or a dependent brokerage, right? That's your world. There's no judgment. It's not a bad thing. It's not, it's not a problem. It's just, that's what you're surrounded by.
Well, they don't know what they don't know at the same time, right? To them, they don't even know that's possible, that you could be doing $25 million in 5 years in the business.
Yeah. And so if you come in with those examples and that track record, that's a good way to open their eyes, right? However, or a question like, somebody says, hey, I'm doing $3.5 million. And you might ask them a question like, what would it look like to do that next month? Just to open their eyes to thinking. And that's a question that, Tony DeCello, who's an executive with MAPS Coaching as well, and one of just an incredible MAPS coach, and actually happens to be married to Diana Kokoska, it's a question that he taught me, right? So instead of doing it in a year, what would it look like to do it in a month? And so how do you break through? How do you help people see a different opportunity? You really have to have a genuine conversation with them and understand what's important to them. And going back to the 5 dysfunctions of a team that Patrick Lencioni teaches, what he teaches is that relationships and functional teams are built on trust, then conflict, then commitment, then accountability, which produce results. Well, a recruiting appointment can look exactly the same. So when someone comes in your office and they sit across from you, that's trust, right? So we don't need this long-term relationship. We don't need, right? Every person that we call doesn't sit across from us, right? So there's a reason why they're in the room.
So talk more about that, because I'm not really getting that right now. So I feel like they show up because there's curiosity, but there's not necessarily trust yet.
Yeah. So, trust is what it is they're allowing you the ability to step into their world, right? And they're stepping into an environment, which is kind of our turf, right? Like that's a trusting relationship. So they come to, our office, they sit across from us at a desk, we close the door. And, one of the analogies I always use is, do you go to the grocery store and push a grocery cart around that's empty and then walk out without groceries? Do you ever do that, David?
I don't know.
So do you ever talk to an attorney and, just have a casual chat with them? So again, it's kind of like, if you wouldn't call an attorney and just have a casual conversation unless you had a legal issue, and if you wouldn't walk around and push around a empty cart of groceries, and if you wouldn't go test drive a car unless you're buying a car, why would you sit across from somebody at a competing brokerage and talk about your business and your hopes and your dreams and your goals unless you were making a move?
Yeah. Interested, right?
Yeah.
They're there.
Yeah, that's right. So the trust is there. Like it's somebody basically saying like, listen, my presence is trust. A different language we could put it in is John Maxwell talks about, the 5 levels of leadership. And the first level is position. We all have a title, right? And then the second level is permission-based leadership. And one of the ways to gain permission is just someone's attendance, right? Or someone showing up or someone being there, right? Permission can be that simple, right? Trust can be that simple. So, that foundation of trust is just having the conversation and getting into a genuine conversation about what someone's goals are and why they're important to them, right? And they're there for a reason. Something brought them into that conversation, into your office. Then it goes through conflict. And I think that's the key. That's the secret sauce, right? So look at that triangle, right? Trust, conflict, commitment. If we don't go through conflict, we don't get to commitment, right? And I think what's so interesting about that is that a lot of people are adverse to that because, they have a lot of limiting beliefs around, I have to have a long-term relationship with someone before I really ask them tough questions. Tony DeCello taught me that trust can happen in an instant. And as a coach, it has to, because we have an expectation call for 15 to 30 minutes and we build a relationship in 15 to 30 minutes. And then we begin coaching that person, the next week on them achieving their goals to be able to live out their life and achieve their future. I mean, that's a lot of trust that they're putting in you.
So
right?
Matt, the conflict is what? You going really deep with those questions? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, so conflict is asking questions that people either don't want to handle or aren't thinking about every day, or, are subconscious, and probably the reason why I brought them in. So for example, right, somebody says, I'm curious, what brought you in today? Which is always a great question to start with, because you'll get funny answers, right? People will say, well, you called me. And then I always respond by saying, well, I call a lot of people and they don't all show up. And let me ask you a question. Does every for sale by owner schedule an appointment with you? Does every expired schedule an appointment with you? So the ones that schedule an appointment with you, you go into that appointment with the understanding, with the concept, with the thought process that they're interested, right? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, you're here. Not everybody I call shows up, right? So I'm curious, what brought you in today? What's the most compelling thing we could discuss today in the growth of your business? We lay that foundation and set expectations there. You just ask, hey, what are your goals? And someone will share with you their goals. And, goals are interesting because people in real estate is what we're talking about, right? They share goals in, number of units and transactions and volume. I always like to ask them a question. So what other goals do you have for your life this year? Are you going on a trip? Are you paying off debt? Are you paying off college? Are you touring schools with your kids? Are you buying investment properties? Are you, traveling a certain number of days this year? Are you joining a golf club? Are you, what else are you doing this year? Because life is not about, what are your goals? Well, I'm just financial. It's all about money. Money's a tool. It's a resource, right? It's good for the good that it can do. So, we have to understand why that resource is important to them. And that's the next question, right? So why is that important to you? Most people give a surface level answer to that. They'll say, well, I get to pay things off and it's great. And so it's like, well, when you pay those things off, what do you get? And then now, if they really are starting to be vulnerable with you, and one of my mentors taught me that if you're vulnerable with other people, they'll be vulnerable with you. So your ability to just slow down and listen and ask powerful questions is going to help. And now if they're really vulnerable with you, they may say something like, what I get is peace of mind. What I get is time with my kids. Now we're talking about something that matters. Now we get to ask them a question. Here's conflict, right? So the question then becomes, what is it that you're lacking in your current environment that's stopping you from achieving those goals? What it does is you allow them to stretch into, there's a guy by the name of Gary Vaynerchuk, I think you interviewed him. He talks about clouds and dirt, right? So the clouds are like, here's my aspirations, here's my dreams, here's what everything that's great for me, here's what really matters, right? And then the dirt is like the grind of the daily process, the hustle, your habits. And so it's a clouds and dirt conversation with their goals, right? It's like, hey, what are you looking towards? What are your aspirations? What's ideal for you? Right? What's this world look like, right? And then we go to, so what are you lacking in your current environment? What brought you in? So there's something that's missing. What's missing where you are now? That creates conflict. It's not about me being rude or being mean or being nasty. That's not going to work, right? They're looking to trust somebody, right? We buy into the leader before we buy into the vision, right? We've learned that in Keller Williams as well. So they're looking to buy into that person across from the table from them. So if we're mean or rude, that's not going to work. The conflict is putting them in a place where they have to really investigate. Are they on track to do what they say they want to do? And creating the conflict between where they are and where they think they're going. And then we carry that forward by asking them a question like, okay, so maybe you don't have the ability to hire the way that you'd like to, or build leverage, or maybe you don't have the ability, you don't have the models and systems to scale your business, or the lead generation strategies, whatever that is, right? And the next question is, what happens if nothing changes? And that's really, that's future conflict, right? Future pacing. It's creating a negative future for them. That's really where people start to really, it makes an impact. Hey, so if 2019 is like 2018 and you don't achieve your goals, is everything okay? In 2020, if we're on the same pace, that $3.5 million producer, right? In 2020, if we're still doing $3.5 million, are you winning? Are you moving towards these goals or away from them? How long will it take you to achieve this at the pace you're on now? Diana teaches us that in order to get to better, first we have to get to different, right? Diana Kokoska. And so what are we going to do differently today to get better? David, the analogy that I use is that if you have a financial planner, right, or you ever bought life insurance. So you've ever bought life insurance, or do you have a financial planner?
Both. Yes.
Great. So was your experience like mine, where when they sell to you, they basically say, if you invest, X amount per week or per paycheck now, based on your age, over time, that'll compound to this, right? If you don't, and you invest to, 10 years from now, you can invest double the amount and it'll never reach that. Did you ever have that conversation, or they show you that chart?
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
Okay, well, that's negative future. All they're doing is they're future pacing you to scare the living you-know-what out of you and make you make a decision today. It's honest. It's accurate. They're not misleading you. It's just negative future. They're casting that in a way where they're saying, well, you're not going to be able to do the things you want to do unless you make this decision today. And it's up to you. I mean, listen, you can wait. You'll still achieve it. It's just when will you achieve it on your path, and will it be in the time frame that you want? And they do a takeaway close, right? And then almost all of us are like, yeah, let me just invest right now or get it started. That's why those assets, those tools, and those career fields are so successful, because it's a decision-making process that we get people into. And it's the same conversation when we're recruiting.
So you were talking about commitment now. So you said there were 5 steps, right? So you got trust, conflict, commitment,
accountability, and results, right?
Okay.
So the funny thing is about, we go through conflict to get to commitment, right? That's what Patrick Lencioni's model teaches us, right? So going through conflict to get to commitment would say to us that we have to have that tough conversation, right? We have to ask powerful questions. And a mentor taught me that, our life is determined by the power of questions that we ask ourselves and others. And I believe that was Diana that said that as well, right? So we get through that conflict, we get to that commitment spot, and the commitment's really their commitment to make a transition in their business, right? To make a move to Keller Williams. Then at that point, right, the funny thing is that the commitment is either short-term, like it's like, I'm ready to move today. And in my career, there was a lot of people, regardless of production level, that made a move that same day. Top producers that moved in the same day, because when you really have a deep conversation about their goals, their desires, their dreams, what's important to them, and you get deep in that, people will make a move immediately, right? If not immediately, because they have got deals they have to close out and whatever their contract says, then we step into a transition plan. So the commitment's to a date that they're going to move, and now we walk them through a transition plan of how we get into business with them.
Got it. And then the next step is the accountability, is what we're going to bring to them when we're helping them. And I feel like that's one of the differences between a team leader, what I do and what you were doing, and just a regular office manager.
Accountability is simple, right? It's just communication, right? We understand their goals. We understand why they're important. So it's the consistency and ideally daily communication with somebody. What are you doing to achieve your goals? Now, at a higher level, that's where hiring a MAPS coach is really important for somebody, because they have a weekly call. They have daily communication. They're reporting numbers on a daily basis, right? They have somebody that's actually committed to coaching them through that in that conversation. So, yes, a team leader within our organization is a phenomenal person to expose that to them, because if you think about it, David, on an annual basis, your market center invests anywhere between $36,000 and $50,000 in your training and education and travel for you to be able to learn how to lead and grow the businesses of other people. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Without question. Yeah.
Well, that's what sets us apart, right? So it's not, the models and systems are important, and yet, the book's not coming to life, right? The MREA book isn't coming to life. It's sitting on a shelf. What brings it to life, right, is getting outside your zip code. It's the people that you communicate with. It's traveling. It's the education. It's leaders within our organization, like our CEO, like John Davis, and it's leaders in our organization, like Diana Kokoska, and obviously Gary, right? Gary Keller. And so it's those people, speaking that opportunity into us and teaching us and building those models and systems and making them real and simplifying them, that allows us to be able to take that at the highest level and communicate it with our agents. And then when an agent says, okay, I'm ready to go to the next level, hiring a MAPS coach, the reason why that's so key is I might have a conversation with an agent in my office, when I was a team leader, once a week. What's different is that MAPS coach is having 30 to 50 conversations each week at that level of reporting, number tracking, accountability, model and system, active listening, asking powerful questions, building action plans, and supporting and coaching to that person. So they're having what a team leader would be able to do with that person in a year, that coach is exposed to each week.
Yeah,
right.
That's a good point.
Or the other way to put it, right, is even crazier, is what a team leader could do with that person in 50 years, a coach could do with them in a year. Right. And why do you hire a MAPS coach? Well, it's aligned in our company and our culture.
Sure. Masters, we're going to get you right back to the show. Listen, I got a couple opportunities for you right now. First off, we have ReProfit. If you are running a real estate business, my friends, then you must have a P&L, a profit and loss statement. I know far too many agents who do not. That said, ReProfit is by far the simplest solution I have used. And I'll be honest, I am using the service now. I've known about it for years, but have never switched because I was complacent using my QuickBooks. Well, I'll tell you what, this is real estate specific. It's super easy to use. It automatically pulls from your banks and your credit card transaction. It's so easy to use. All you have to do is export the file, send it to your accountant, and then you're prepped for your taxes. Guys, listen, it's like trying to drive somewhere without using navigation. Far too many agents unfortunately do that. So that said, I want you to check out ReProfit. I'm not only using it, like I said, I'm a long-time QuickBooks user. This system is just so much simpler, and it, like I said, it connects with real estate. The other great thing too is ReProfit has people that can help onboard you and get your account set up the right way and help you get everything moved into the system. And here's the best part. You can get a 30-day free trial to see if you love the service. And if you love it, then you stay with it. If you don't, then I guess you never pay anything. It's spelled ReProfit.com/path to mastery. Again, ReProfit.com/path to mastery, and get yourself a free 30 days and try it out and start running your business like a business. And finally, you've heard me talk about this many times, guys, Audible, davidsfreebook.com. Go to Audible right now, get yourself a free audiobook. If you're listening to podcasts, you're just like me. You're going to love Audible. It's Amazon's book service. Go get yourself a free copy of Rocket Fuel for free. And if you love the service, then you keep using it. If you don't, you get to cancel in 30 days and then get your money back. Actually, I'm sorry, you don't even get your money back because you're never charged anything. However, you do have to give a credit card at the beginning. And here's what I would do. Give a credit card, set a reminder in your calendar for like 20 to 25 days out. They'll remind you, and if you don't love the service, then you just cancel and your card is never charged. You're going to love the service, so you're probably going to keep moving forward anyway for the $15 a month, but it's just an awesome service. So anyway, a couple opportunities. ReProfit.com/path to mastery, and then Audible free audiobook at davidsfreebook.com. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the show. Think about the people that are listening to this that aren't team leaders.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they have a team and they want to attract some agents. Obviously, they can use some of these tools, or even just an agent that is, you know, how does an agent use this on his listing appointments? You know what I mean? I mean, is it the same? I mean, when you sit down with a seller, you use these tools?
Yeah, so it's exactly the same. You know, Diana Kokoska wrote Bold. It's a course within MAPS and within Keller Williams over 100,000 people have graduated from. That cycle that we went through is taught in Bold. It's taught in that course. And you really have to get exposed to that. I've graduated 6 times. My wife's graduated 5. So it's something that you take over and over and learn to master. And you never really master, you just keep moving towards it. So how does an agent use it in their business? It's the same thing. It's just like, we just talked about it, right? Life insurance agents use it in their business, right? Financial planners use it in their business. It's a sales cycle, right? It's not a recruiting cycle. It's a sales cycle, right? So getting someone to, a seller saying, what we hear a lot in real estate and sales is we say, go back to motivation. Always go back to their motivation. We hear that statement over and over. And it's really a different way of saying that, right? It's going back and driving to their motivation. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let's just say like a price reduction. If we keep the price on the home the way it is now, and your husband's already moved to Florida and your motivation was to be with your husband as quickly as possible. Now, have your goals changed? No. Okay. So what happens if nothing changes? Meaning that if we don't change the price on the property right now and we keep it listed where it is now, and we still have 20 showings a week, which means you've got to clear out your house and you've got to get everything out and you got to take care of the kids and hire the cleaner to take care of everything and do all of that. And because of the feedback that we're getting, which is the price, we don't get any offers and you just keep getting running in and out of your house and you're not getting to afford it with your husband. I mean, is that okay with you? And so, okay, got it. So that's not acceptable. So what do you think we need to do today? Need to lower the price? Okay, great. So do you have a number in mind? Because this is what I was thinking, right? And so it works in every conversation, right? And yet again, it's like, how do you move towards that becoming something that's just part of your language, David? It's what you said, the obsessive compulsiveness, right? Studying it over and over and over again, consistent, exposure to that, script practicing it every day. and ingrain it. So yeah, buyer's agents, listing agents can consistently use that in taking business and earning the business, right? They can also utilize it in, things like price reductions and price changes across the board, right? So there's that aspect of it. And when you talk about recruiting people, go ahead.
So listening to you, and obviously what you said it makes a lot of sense. And you can even go deeper on that. And well, tell me, I mean, what's going to happen, 3 months now, how are you going to feel if you're still not in Florida with your husband, right? Yeah. A lot of agents won't do that. They just don't. Why do we avoid doing that?
Gary Keller said something so profound on stage a couple of years ago at Family Reunion. He says, if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. Right? So it's our own limitations showing up in the way we communicate with other people. We feel we have something around that, right, ourselves. And it's just a self-awareness, right? We don't feel comfortable. We wouldn't like that conversation. And we start to project, or the way Diana says it is, don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. We start to project who we are onto other people. So why don't agents do that? Because it's that conflict, right? Why aren't agents more successful in their business? Well, because sometimes they come across rude, right? So they are willing to get to conflict. It's just the conflict is not endearing. The conflict's not powerful. The conflict's not partnership. The conflict's really a disconnect. And then the other way that it happens is sometimes we have limiting beliefs ourselves around, well, I wouldn't want somebody to, communicate that way with me, or I feel like that's too salesy, we hear people say, or there's too much pressure in that, or and we're salespeople, right? I mean, the person hired you to sell the home, right? So when we say things like, well, I feel that's salesy, I understand the connotation to that. What's interesting, though, is that are we really serving that person by leaving the price $50,000 above what it's ever going to sell for? We're not serving ourselves. We're not serving them. We're not serving an incoming client or buyer who would like to buy the home, and yet they're not even going to offer on it because they feel like it's unreasonable. We're actually the stopgap. We're the lid. We're the obstacle that's standing in the way of that happening. And it's all because of our beliefs. So why don't people do it more? One, they're not practicing what to say, right? So like script practice. Seth Campbell is a great leader in our company. He said something so great. He's like, a lot of people don't commit to script practice. And he's like, there's different scripts. One script goes, do you want fries with that? And another script, is an expired script. And he said, it's your choice. What script are you going to learn? It's no tack or knock. Or he actually came from McDonald's as an executive. So that's why he uses that reference, right? He grew within that organization. And yet everything's scripted, right? It's just what script are you going to use? So one thing is we're not practicing that. We haven't really grown our mindset or our personal development. So, I know you're huge on that, your daily practices in personal development. You and I've talked about that before, right? I think do people have, a miracle morning built into their day? Are they taking courses within our company like Bold? Do they have a MAPS coach? Do they have, within our organization? In the general world, right? What books are they reading, right? Like what podcasts are they listening to? How are they empowering themselves? Right now, plugging into TD Jakes at such a high level. I don't know if you listen to him ever. I mean, he is Bishop TD Jakes.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, he's a motivational, inspirational speaker. He's got I think the one I've been listening to over and over this week is You've Got to Run,
cool.
Right? And yet, hopefully that helps. That's what limits us, right? It's just our lack of personal development and commitment to it. And the last thing I guess I'll say on it is, life gives you the same test until you pass it, right? And you have to grow in order to pass that test. And people are just adverse to the personal growth. And so they keep getting the same objection or the same test. And they're going at that same test with the same equipment that they had before. And it's just not working, right? And so they've got to grow. And that's the gap.
Love it, my friend. Love it. It's funny. I could go on with this conversation all day. Obviously, we're not going to. I don't know where I heard this. It may have been from Diana. It says, if you fight hard enough, you get to keep your limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
It may have been from Diana. So anyway, so in closing, man, first, I just want to say I appreciate your time. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, Matt, I know you run a real estate team as well, for referrals or for coaching, how do our listeners get in touch with you?
Yeah. So I can be reached at mteter@kw.com. So M and then my last name, TETER@kw.com. That's probably the easiest way to get in touch with me. And, my wife and I have a sales team here in Philadelphia and South Jersey. Anybody that is talented in that area that's looking for an opportunity and not a job, humble, hungry, smart, loyal, and learning based, we'd love to talk to you. And then obviously, referrals. We love referrals, and we love working with other agents and paying out referral checks. That's a big part of our business, and that's we always love those opportunities. So in coaching, the same thing via email. Personally, my commitment in MAPS coaching, and I coach leaders in leadership, and yet somebody hears this as an agent and they say, I'd love to learn more about that. Our agent coaches within our organization are incredible. My wife has a MAPS coach. So you can reach out to me as well, and I can connect you with the organization.
Awesome. And congratulations on your Eagles this year. I didn't even put the connection together. We may not have had this podcast if I I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm from Boston.
Oh yeah.
All right. Yeah. So anything I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
I think you did an incredible job, and you've done an awesome job. I think the one question I think is kind of a cool question is, what's the one belief that you have that other people think is crazy? I think I got that from Seth Godin. So it's kind of a cool question.
Yeah, that is a cool question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is it?
I think I have a lot of them. However, I think the one belief that I have that people think is crazy is that I have a fundamental belief in human beings. I think we'll always make it. I think people are fundamentally good. I think they want to be good. I think people are doing the best they can, and they want to learn and they want to grow. We have to remember that about other people, is that they're just committed to growing and learning and doing the best that they can. And, that's it.
That's cool. I love it. And it made me think too. I think as the first thing that comes to my mind is, I truly believe that I will get a front row parking spot because I believe I'm going to get it before I pull in. And it's just crazy, Matt, but every time my wife and I do this together, if we both commit to it, it happens every frigging time. Yeah. If either of us are like, just not, I don't know, it's crazy, but I believe that. So anyway, that's my thing.
Well, positive affirmations are powerful. we both know that.
Yeah,
so it's
amazing.
Just, people are good and they're doing their best, and we have an opportunity to empower each other and help each other grow instead of disempowering each other. And we're at a unique time in history where we can really do that and change things. So I'm excited about the future. I really am.
And Patrick, what's his Lencioni? Is that it?
Yeah.
What's his book again? The name of the book you were referencing?
Yeah, The 5 Dysfunctions of the Team.
Got it. Perfect.
Yeah. So it's a great piece, and that's just kind of a good way to take a look at both a team and also transactionally. Am I building those relationships? Am I going through that process, those steps? And where is it in that process where I'm getting stuck? And how could I grow?
Awesome. And for our listeners, guys, you can get yourself a copy of that book on Audible for free if you go to davidsfreebook.com. davidsfreebook.com. Get yourself a copy of Patrick Lencioni's The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And the final question, Matt, we changed it up now, is what does path to mastery mean to you?
Wow. Well, path to mastery means to me is hiring a coach. Right. I think if you look at every successful person that is on the path to mastery, they've hired a coach, or they have multiple coaches. So I think that getting yourself into a position in your life where you can employ and you can enroll a coach in partnership into your world. And again, I'm going to say hiring a MAPS coach. And yet, that's the most important thing on the path to mastery is, it's basically hiring a partner. A core advocate into your world. Somebody else, my coach said at one point, he said, it's kind of like looking at the top of your head, or the coach is like looking at the top of your head, and your peripheral vision, you can see so far, right? And the coach sees everything behind you in your blind spot, right? And I always loved that analogy. And that's a relationship, a partnership that I really think about with the MAPS clients that I have. And, that's the path to mastery, right? It's getting a coach.
And again, for our listeners who are not KW agents, there are plenty of coaches out there outside of MAPS. And even if you're not in real estate, think about it, right? Golfers have coaches, pro athletes have coaches, business coaches. So you don't have to just be in real estate to hire a coach. So, and what's the one thing you want everybody to take from this interview? If you broke it down to one single thing that everybody's going to walk away with today, what's that thing going to be?
Personal growth is the way that you're going to go to the next level. So choose one thing, doing everything in your life, right? I'm going to do, yoga, and I'm going to run every day, and I'm going to do reading books and podcasts and doing it, right? Just choose one thing. And, Diana teaches us if it's not on your schedule, it doesn't exist. So choose one thing, time block it on your schedule, right? It's a bold wall, right? So time block it on your schedule, make it sure it goes in there. Take that step, build the habit, because that personal growth is what's going to give you energy. It's going to give you life, and it's going to allow you to break through the next level.
Love it, my friend. Hey, I just want to say I thank you. We really appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Masters, if you know me, you know health and nutrition is number one, and that's why I'm an advisor for Advocare products. Listen, in my opinion, these are the best products on the planet, guys. You get what you're supposed to get, right? I use the products for health. I use the products for energy. I use the products for wellness. So we have all the different lines from Spark, starting your day with a great energy shot, all the way to pre-workout. It's whatever your goals are, right? It's whatever your goals are. You can check out the products at www.livelongersmarter.com. That's my website. Or reach out to me, and I'd love to have a 30-minute or, anywhere from 15 to 30-minute conversation with you, just talking about your health and nutrition goals and what I can do to help you achieve those goals. So again, products, energy line, or wellness line, whether it's joints, you're getting up there in the age, you just want to take care of yourself. I'll tell you, one of the greatest compliments I get is people, you say, wow, you look amazing. I cannot believe you are the age you are. Weight loss. I've helped lots of people, guys, lose weight, not just lose it, but keep it off with the products. And the cool thing is, I'd say 75% of the people who start with our products, they continue using our products even after they initially tried them, which has been amazing. And strength, if you're into bodybuilding, then hey, Rich Fronin, okay? I don't know if you know who Rich Fronin is. He's an advocate for Advocare as well. So amazing products. You can see us. We're featured on NASCAR, professional soccer, college basketball, college football, Men's Health magazine last month. These are the real deal, guys. LiveLongerSmarter.com is the website, or reach out to me if you, like I said, if you want to have a personal conversation with me, just send me an email. In the subject line, just put Advocare products, and I'd love, like I said, schedule a 15 to 30-minute call with you to talk about your health and nutrition goals. Guys, you rock. Live longer, smarter. And as Gary Keller eloquently said, if you don't take care of your body, where are you gonna live? You rock.
You are listening to One More Sale with your host, David I. Hill, author of the Sales Playbook. Get your copy at www.thesalesplaybook.net.